SABC's Chriselda Lewis. Good evening to you, Chriselda. Well done on this investigative piece. Reminds me of a former life, which I won't go into. I mean, it's a shocking story, right? Because everything, at least from the visuals we are seeing there, looks absolutely authentic.
Absolutely, Bongani. I think what's quite shocking is that you have a business here that is clearly thriving, because we found this particular internet cafe very busy, and the very kind of thing that we went to go and investigate, where we obtained all of this for 600 Rand. The place was abuzz with clientele. And not just that, there are quite a number of other things that they're advertising, saying that they're able to place children in schools in Gauteng, and a host of other things where clearly a lot of illegal activity is taking place.
So this wasn't just about getting credit, for example, this was about a number of official things that you can do with the papers that they give you. Absolutely.
I mean, if you look at the fact that you're able to go and get a payslip, and 3 months backdated statements from the bank, purportedly with the stamp of one of the big banks in South Africa. That is really scary, because one begs to ask the question then, when somebody says they've been defrauded, it's clearly documentation that is used, because how bizarre all of this is, Bongani, is that once you get the documentation, once we watch this process unfold, once they uploaded everything onto the pay slip, they then emailed that to a call center where, take for example, if you want to go and get credit from a particular clothing company, if you go there, you would produce your pay slip, you would also produce 3 months bank statements, and the first thing they would do is to call the number to check if you're indeed employed at the place where you say you are. The number that is provided on there is at a specific call center, which is used for all of that kind of activity. So if they call the call center, they would find that somebody is employed at that so-called company. The company does not exist. The person has never been employed, but they've got a documentation that looks authentic.
So where does this leave, I suppose, the various credit bureau and that kind of thing in terms of the verification checks and steps that people would need to follow, whether they're giving employment to somebody or credit, as you point out?
Absolutely, Bongani, a great question there, because at the end of the day, what now needs to happen is that there need to be tighter controls around who you give credit to. The banks need to become much more stricter. And how many times have we heard people say, I need to go clear my name for a debt that I did not get into. I have been defrauded. My ID has been stolen. Or somebody is using my details, because even the name that we chose and the ID number, we don't know who that is. It was just random numbers that we chose, just put together. And within 45 minutes, we were able to get all of that. Use that documentation now to be able to get credit anywhere and everywhere.
And the owners behind this operation, the people behind this operation, what did they say once they discovered who you really were?
Well, that's the next phase of what we're going to do, Bongani. Unfortunately, in situations like this, if I could best describe where we were, there must have been about 20 of these individuals who were working inside there, also trying to make sure, I think at some point, they were feeling a bit uneasy. And we tried to move around and try to ensure that they didn't realize who we were, together with Morning Live producer Sponelo. And when we managed to go around the corner, they then looked around, kept checking if there was no car close by. And once all of that happened, Bongani, we could see it wasn't really safe to go back there again. We did not have a police escort. And chances are, in situations like that, if you go in, you're not going to come out.
I mean, this is we talk about it as a kind of harmless crime when it comes to, white-collar crime, for example. But as you point out, quite often people behind operations like this can be quite dangerous.
Oh, absolutely, and we've seen it quite a number of times. I think in particular with this kind of operation, because we do not involve the police, many a times, Bongani, when we've tried to do that, with the police there's quite a process that needs to be followed, and yet there are people who need assistance out there. This, I'm not really speaking ill of the processes within the police service, but it is quite a monotonous strenuous process to try and get some kind of assistance. So within operations such as this, the SABC often goes at it on its own, and really, if you look at in Yeovil where we were, these are not just people who are operating inside the internet cafe. They've got runners, they've got stringers, if I may, outside these operations.
And
so
obviously
very dangerous.
And obviously they're working closely with officials from banks to make sure that everything looks legitimate, that it looks credible, and that, you know, when people, once they've got these documents, they're as good as real.
Absolutely, because we were told at the end of the day, use these documents and you can gain access to any kind of credit you want. That's really scary.
Well done. It's a fantastic investigation. I think we're wishing you luck as you continue to take it onto its next legs. And stay safe. We want you back here telling us more stories.
Thanks, Bonani.
That's the SABC's Chriselda Lewis. Now,